Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Outlaw Window Cleaner Radio Network. I'm Ron Hughes. My co-host Tim Huber is on vacation, probably drunk. But anyway, my son is going to join me here in a little bit. Chase, he's in the middle of eating. He literally has been working his little fingers off all day long, building us this amazing backstop, basically a new studio. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but I think he's going to start producing podcasts. So anybody in the Central Ohio area that needs a podcast done, hit him up. Maybe he could share a link in this video somehow. But I think he could also edit your videos for you. Hit him up. He does an amazing job. I mean, as you can see by the quality of our podcast, it's really professional, really nice looking. So hit him up and do him justice there. I think the set looks amazing. He did a great job on it. I think old Uber's going to be surprised when he gets back from Flow Rider.
He's probably seeing it right now.
Do what?
He's probably seeing it right now.
You don't have nothing on that mic.
What?
Nothing at all.
I have something right here. I can hear myself. Nothing?
Nothing.
I have something right now.
There you are.
Yeah. No, you can probably see it right now.
Yeah. Oh, the link? Did you share a link?
I don't have a link.
Oh, you don't have a link yet? He'll get you a link. But anyway, maybe by next show. But anyway, he has literally been working nonstop on this all day long. I like it. But anyway, tonight's topic is a week to remember and a week to forget. It was actually the week started off pretty good. Business as usual. I'd say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday went fairly well. About better than average. But I tell you what, come Friday, it must have been a full moon that day because it just went crazy from there. No offense to the ladies out there if there are any, but I tell you what, it seemed like every lady that I ran into on Friday was just in a bad mood. It started off with my first customer. She wasn't home for the regular scheduled service. She had cameras everywhere. I called her to remind her, and nothing. It was an outside only. I showed up to do the job like many of us have, and I have the screen remover tools and stuff like that. So I gave her a courtesy call when I arrived on site, and no answer. Left her a voicemail that I was there, and I said, you know what? It's exterior only. I'm going to go ahead and start. So I went ahead and started, and I noticed cameras all over the place. I mean, they was everywhere. We have cameras on our house, and every time someone moves, a fly might go by. It gives you a notification on your phone. So I know she was sitting there watching me the whole time. Got the job done, and as I'm loading up the ladders and stuff, my phone rings, and it was the customer. She said that, it was like, oh, my God, I can't believe you're there at the house. You're going to have to wait till I get home and take out the screens and everything. And I'm like, ma'am, I've already done that. She goes, you were supposed to call, blah, blah, blah. And it was just, the conversation went downhill from there. She said that she had called the day before to cancel the service. I tried to explain to her that I was the owner of the company and that all phone calls, emails, texts, smoke signals, whatever you want to call it, they all come through me. So I know that she did not call me. Anyway, that was my first customer. Second customer, I get to her house. She usually has all the furniture moved out from the front, from in front of the windows. It was an inside and out. And every time I've done this house, it's always a big rush to get the inside done. So both me and my youngest son went inside to get the job done so she could lock up and leave, and we'd go ahead and stick around and do the outside. Well, long story short, she had nothing moved, and we was in a rush. We had less than 20 minutes to get the whole inside of the house done. Fairly large house, but we just started kicking butt. And I would say on my third window, I went to move the sectional. And usually I look around, I do a walk around. There was a little coffee table that was hidden behind the sectional. And when I moved it just 6 inches, not like 4 or 5 feet away from the window, just 6 inches, I knocked over an end table. And it was like one of those marble tables, only second thing I broke in 33 years. And I tell you what, this thing, when it hit the ground, it shattered. And I don't know if you guys have broke anything while you're doing a house, but it's just a miserable feeling because you know that as soon as that broke, I didn't think it was me. I looked around and I thought it was Dallas. You know, I thought he knocked something over. I thought it couldn't be me because I just moved the couch. I didn't realize I knocked over the end table. But it's just a sickening feeling because you just want to curl up and hide somewhere because, I mean, you know you're basically doing that job for free.
Why'd you do that?
It's like I said, the second time that happened in 33 years. But I told her, you know, it's a high-end house, high-end furniture. So you know that, you know, that's why you have insurance. I mean, that's what you do. I mean, but then I went from there and, you know, you could have let those first 2 jobs kind of just destroy your day. And it's all in how you handle adversity and just keep that positive attitude that Chase is always preaching. And you get to your 3rd job and you just move on. But for the rest of the day, it kind of went kind of smooth until I went to, I did a big job this weekend. I got a lift. And
does that scare you?
You know,
I feel like it has to scare you. Being someone who's fallen. 3 different. Oh, here I can cut the camera. I had to download an app on this iPad. My daughter has the other iPad, so I can switch from over here. Yeah, someone who's fallen from like 3 stories, and you still go up in the air and stuff. Does that like put a different feeling?
Yes and no, because even when I fell, it wasn't anything to do with my equipment or anything how I did it safety wise. It was just bees that got in my face, and I was on a ladder and kind of did a backflip off the ladder. But at first, when it's funny when you say that, because I'd say probably about 7 months after my accident, I got up back on that same ladder that I fell off of.
Oh.
And I remember my middle son, Josh, he was actually holding foot in the bottom of the ladder for me. And going up, it wasn't bad. I mean, but he literally said, "Dad, I think there's an earthquake." And I'm like, "It's not an earthquake. That's my knees shaking." And the ladder was shaking pretty bad just because. But after doing a few sets, it's like, you've done this for so long, you're just back in the saddle and going at it. But that first set, I thought I was going to have to call the fire department to come with their little bucket truck or ladder truck and hoist me off the ladder.
I don't know. I don't know if I could ever do that. If I had fallen off of a ladder like that, I probably would have some sort of phobia of getting on ladders ever again.
Yeah, but that would end your career of wearing high heels too, then, wouldn't it? No.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Couldn't wear high heels anymore. Thanks. Thanks for that.
What do you do? I mean, your wife has an extra small foot anyway, so.
Yeah, she could take them.
She's like in size 3 or something like that shoe.
Yeah, she wears a size children's.
Children's.
She's got hobbit feet, my wife. Love you, babe.
But anyway, back to the lift. I got there. One of what I do anyway is I've been dealing with lifts for 30-some years. It's kind of funny because every lift that I get, whether it's a Genie or a JLG or another brand, every one of them set up a little bit differently. So for the first half hour to an hour, a lift can make you look like a fool. I mean, you got to get your sea legs back because it's shifting back and forth. You boom out, you're kind of like on a diving board, but and you don't have the controls just down right. Even if you get the same brand, even if you get Genies every year, sometimes the controls, some of them you let go of the joystick and that stops on a dime.
Oh.
Some of them you let go of the joystick and it's still moves another 2 feet.
It coasts a little, huh?
So you have to acclimate yourself to that lift. But anyway, what I do when I get on site is I check the hours. I write that down, and I check the fuel. Well, that's a diesel lift, a diesel engine. And what I did notice is that it had half a tank. It was a 30-gallon tank, and it had 15 gallons in it.
Uh-oh.
So I instantly called the lift company, and I'm like, look, dude, I'm not paying for 15 gallons of fuel at $5.56 a gallon for fuel that I didn't use. So they told me just make a mark on the tank and just kind of initial data and take a picture of it and then go from there. And that's kind of what I did. So when I got done with the lift, I put it just a little bit above the mark where it was. But still, I mean, had I not documented that, it would have probably cost another $7,500 to fill that up.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's like renting a car. If you don't fill up the tank before you return the car, I'm forgetting to switch the camera. If you don't fill up the tank before you return a rental car, I think they charge you somewhere like over $5 per gallon. It's got to be more now.
No, it's
right?
probably $10,
Yeah.
$12 a gallon.
Yeah, so if you're penalized and they have your card, so they're just like, yeah, hey, it was half full, and unless you have proof, you're kind of screwed.
Right. Another thing I do with the lift is I wished I had video, but I had a lot of stuff happen this weekend. I didn't have a chance to do a video. But I do a walk around the night before. I put flags on all the sprinkler systems, on all the irrigation system, and I also document and take pictures and video where it's all time-stamped, all cracks in sidewalks. Because you're running a 20-ton machine across the sidewalk, you don't want to be the one that has to replace the sidewalk. So I have documentation on cameras to where I document the cracks, and then I have documentation from the lift company of when the lift was delivered, which is usually about 24 hours after I do my walk around. So it's kind of just an extra way to protect yourself. But it wasn't bad. Friday night, I just worked all the way up till dark to where I couldn't see anymore. I got off. I did all the grassy sides of the building because I knew it was going to rain on Saturday, and it was supposed to rain on Sunday as well. And what's funny is here in Central Ohio, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. It's going to change.
That's the truth. Preach.
Preach on.
Preach, man.
But anyway, I actually tried to call the lift off at about 11:30, and I thought I had till 12 o'clock too.
Why?
Because of the incoming rain.
Oh.
And I can and I have used weight distribution mats to build myself a road to drive across. Which, if you guys don't know about those, I'll tell you what, they're amazing. I think one year that I rented those mats, it was in an area that we call the swamp. There's a lot of drainage between buildings, and it was wet. And I'm like, there's no way I could drive this through there. And I put those mats down. And I tell you what, after I was done, the only difference was maybe the grass was flattened down from where the mats was, but there was no ruts. There has been years that I've been in there without mats in my early years, and I've left I left massive 2-foot deep ruts in there, and I had to haul dirt in there.
They're like snowshoes for vehicles.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. I mean, you could literally lay them across some really wet land and just drive across there in a very heavy vehicle. And
Do they have like little holes in them? Like if you've ever worked in the kitchen,
yeah,
they got the little mats all over the kitchen, and they got the little holes in them.
Exactly.
So doesn't it leave like a checkerboard pattern or something on the grass? It doesn't like squirt through mud and stuff?
Not really. I mean, it just stays on top. It's and they're only about half-inch thick. So I mean, but they're heavy. And had I known they was that heavy the first year that I rented them, I probably would have taken my riding mower down there and took out like a log chain and kind of dragged them from the back of the lift to the front of the lift.
Right.
But I was like doing it by hand, and I was by myself, so I would have to hop off the lift, pull 4 or 5 up to the front of the lift, and kind of continue building my road all the way through. But it was just an interesting weekend on the lift. I stayed late Friday, got the grassy sides done, and I just worked till dark. But back to the whole female thing, then I left there and I had to do payroll for my office cleaners. Went to my first office. And she was like, you know, she's been with me for a little over a year. She probably does one of our largest offices, one of the most expensive ones that we charge out for. And she basically hits me with the, I'm not happy. I want to have you fire the guy in the next office over, and I want his office because it's easier. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? That office over there pays half of what this office pays, because she's always saying that she never has enough money. She goes, well, that office is easier. And I'm like, okay, but it's half the money. Yes, it is easier. That's why you get double the pay here, because it's a harder job. Well, she's like, I'll have to put some thought behind that, and I'll get back to you. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not going to have anyone tell me where and where not to put people at. I mean, some days I miss the days of just being a solo guy that I just had to worry about my own schedule. And
these are the challenges of business, right?
The growth. I'm into the whole growing the business. You know?
Yeah, it's fun. It's different.
Growing pains.
It's not the Lone Ranger status that you're used to.
Yeah.
And those are a whole different set of problems, which are good problems, right?
Some. Because I'm not on to my next story yet.
Oh, yeah. It's good to be able to experience those, because unless you do, you'll never know how to handle them, right?
Yeah.
And you can figure out how to handle employee relations, is what you're talking about, in many ways. Like, I was a manager at a pizza shop for 7 years or something.
Oh yeah.
And I had to do scheduling and ordering and hiring and firing. And nobody likes to do that type of stuff. It's a acquired taste. But I think if you just consider people's feelings, right? This is very meta, right? You gotta consider their feelings, Dad, okay? And, process it mentally before you say it to them, or whatever you're gonna say to them. And just, I don't know, can I say the S word? We call it the shit sandwich.
Right? That's what it is.
So if I were gonna discipline an employee, I'd be like, listen, you've been doing a really great job today, or this week, or this month, or year, but I wanted to sit you down and let you know that we noticed that you've been doing a couple of things that we'd like to try and improve on, right? And if we could just do that, that'd be super awesome. Oh, by the way, you're gonna catch the Cubs game later tonight. So it's like Cloud, the shit, and another bun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. Okay, but how do you handle this? How would you handle it if you're still managing the pizza shop, that an employee comes up to you and they're like, fire them and give me their shift because they make better tips, even though that person on that shift has done nothing to justify being fired?
Yeah, I'd probably look them straight in the eye and be like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do there? I mean, that's a position I was put in Friday night.
No, you know what? You know what the best answer is?
You're fired.
I understand. I understand where you're coming from. I'll consider it, and then I'll get back with you on that.
We've had this conversation about 3 times, and I have said that, and I've yet to get back with them.
Well, you can't just leave them flat.
Well, I tried to come up with different solutions, and they're like, well, we don't want to go to that one because that one's too far away logistically. We don't want to go to that one because that one's an older building, and we don't like that one. We want that one. And I tell you what, it's just terrible when you go that way. But then, okay, we're beyond that stop. So I get to my next stop. And that stop, I tell you what, it kind of changed my life a little bit.
The stop? The stop?
Well, the next stop that I had to meet the person and give out payroll.
Oh.
Yeah, it definitely changed my life a little bit.
Oh, boy.
I've never had anybody get within 2 inches of my face yelling and screaming at me enough to where it was moving my hair back. And it's like...
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, no, I've never had that happen. But anyway, it escalated, and unfortunately, we had to go separate ways that night, which basically after tonight's episode, I literally have to go do an office tonight. So I'll probably be out till 1 o'clock in the morning until I find somebody else for that position. And unfortunately, it was a family member. I don't know how you...
Shh, you don't have to go there.
I mean,
right, this is the public discourse.
We won't get into details and everything, but it breaks your heart. It rips your gut out. It does everything to you when there's that much tension between family members. You don't want to see it happen. You know that she was in a better place, and now she's in a darker place, and it's frustrating, aggravating. I don't know any way to describe it.
You know, when you're talking smack about people, you should focus on the broad terminology. Just my advice. They. Words like they.
They.
Yeah. Or you don't want to point the finger or anything. But so on that note, the struggles of mixing business
and family
with family or friends.
Yeah.
And that's where you're hung up on. Because if it wasn't a family member, you'd probably just be like, "All right, peace, you're done. Here's your final check, or we'll send you your final check in the mail. No hard feelings. Have a great time."
You know what? I don't know about that because I'm not that kind of person. I don't think I've ever fired anybody other than one other person in 33 years.
Yeah, you're looking at him. You fired me at one point. I can't remember why, but you did. Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think we want to get into that on the air, but I could tell you off there probably.
I actually don't remember why.
I think it's taken one of my brand new trucks after I had fallen and you had went to visit this one particular house where your cousin lived, and I asked you not to, and you did anyway, and you had a good time. Say that.
None of that rings any bells at all.
Yeah. So
No.
it was all good. But okay, maybe I fired 3 people in 33 years. I don't quite remember that. But it was a bad Friday. And, I could have dwelled on that and, went to a very dark place myself. And when bad stuff keeps escalating like that, it takes a lot to get back into that brighter spot and to the more positive spot, because there's so much negativity going on in the world that's dragging you down. And,
what's another brick on the pile, eh?
Yeah, but, you just kind of either shoulder the burden and keep moving on. But yeah, it's funny that you ask if you could say the S word. I have to explain something real fast. A lot of people call this a PG podcast. It's I need to explain that real fast. It's not that I don't cuss, because I can light your world up. My father was in the Navy.
He can cuss. This man can cuss.
My father-in-law was a commercial fisherman. My wife was a bartender. Then I literally coached Little League Baseball, and I made the mistake of coaching 13, 14-year-olds. And I tell you what, those kids, they have a mouth. There was times that I got called names, and I'm like, hold on. I need to go Google that to find out exactly what that means. And then after I got back from Googling, obviously there was a lot of laps to run. My firm belief is there's a place and a time for cussing. I mean, I try to have a cleaner radio show, so that's my firm belief. I mean, but
who said you have a PG podcast?
Another podcast.
Another podcast was talking about you?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah,
Hold on. Hey.
Well, hold on. Before you say anything, it's Tim's old podcast that was saying something.
Oh.
So I try not to dog on those guys because there's a lot of good guys over there. I would welcome them as guests on this show any day of the week. And I would actually welcome some of them as co-hosts if they ever decided to jump ship from over there and come here.
But it sounds like there's one.
There is one.
Listen, we got to be neutral here. We can't point any fingers.
Yeah.
I don't want you to say anything crazy, but what I was getting at is if someone's calling you out on your podcast that you've got a PG podcast, that means they're talking about you.
Well, they was talking about Tim, not me.
Oh, whatever.
So, whatever. But if I'm sticking up for my boy Tim, then I'll be talking back. But
yeah, that's right.
it's just, I don't know. It's that particular podcast. It's a very vulgar. I mean, I'll have to turn you on to that podcast. I used to try to watch it when Tim was on there, just out of respect for Tim. But I've never made it through the whole podcast because I'm like, my God, that's about the most vulgar thing I think I've ever heard. And I've heard some pretty bad stuff.
Yeah, I don't believe that coming from you.
Well, I've never made it through one of their podcasts.
Here's the thing, though. It's professional. How you portray yourself in a professional setting. These types of shows. Listen, I've been a content creator for a long time.
Yeah.
All right. And I also curse like a sailor.
Do you? You must have got that from your mom.
on my videos and my channels, I don't use profanity. There's a lot of the like adult things that I do in my personal life that I don't put out on the internet. And it's almost like if you're sitting in a boardroom meeting, would you be as cavalier as Gary Vee and just throw F-bombs across the room?
Wait a minute. Hold that thought for a minute. I gotta adjust myself real quick because I'm like, you just said you don't put a lot of your personal stuff on the internet. No. I've known you for how long, and there's some very personal stuff that I said you probably should not put on that you did anyway.
Listen, your definition of personal and mine are very two different things.
Okay, there was no nudity in your
no
vlogs.
one's seen my schlong on the internet, my schmeckle.
So that's a little different.
No, I think it's very important, especially in the eyes of brand representation, yours and others. If you are trying to be a creator in any sense of the word, you need to portray yourself in a professional way. There are edgy channels that will get the interest of other edgy brands.
Yeah,
right.
I get that.
But I mean, it's all just personal taste, right? Like, I think it's a good look if you curse like a sailor behind doors, but when you're trying to like put together a podcast or whatever, and you want to speak to the people and be like influential in some way. I kind of hate that word. And just share your lives and stuff. You don't have to be like F this, F that. Yeah. Even though we probably would, but it isn't fully necessary, right?
See, to me, it's not. But to me, that also bleeds into how I portray myself in the business as far as showing up at a business or a customer's house. A lot of guys that I see out here, man, I tell you what, they are rough.
Dude.
I mean, they're rough showing up to a customer's house in an old, like, 83 Chevy that has all rusted out. And
I just had a great idea. I hate to interject. We start a new podcast called Outlaw Window Cleaner Radio After Dark.
After Dark.
And on that podcast, you get to hear Dad cuss like a sailor.
Oh, that's an idea.
Bro. It would be the best. I hate to bro you, but I just broed you.
You know what? I'd probably trademark that real quick before Tim gets back and wants to cut out of that one because I think we probably get more views on that one. I don't know. Get a couple hot chicks on that one. And
yeah. Well, I mean, my wife, she doesn't like to be on camera much, so sorry.
Yeah.
No, she does.
Yeah. Well, I thought no, never mind. I won't go there. I was going to say something about her being hot and being out in the sun, but
personal stuff. Personal stuff. But you know what? I will be the first guy to talk about me having a vasectomy.
Really?
Yeah.
Did it go as expected?
Better.
Better?
It was almost like vacation. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
I swear. It's weird.
I could see you're probably still planning up something. You had that, 3 weeks ago?
Like,
not. I can't take out the trash, honey. I had a vasectomy last year.
No, absolutely not.
No.
In fact, I think after like 4 days, they tell you 72 hours, right? You got to sit and chill. And I do have a best friend by the name of Bag of Peas. I'll probably keep it in my freezer till forever. Those Bag of Peas were literally like lifesavers.
Yeah.
But after the 3 days, I think it was like by the end of the 4th day, I was like, I've got to get out of this chair. I mean, I went from the chair to the couch and stuff. I didn't sleep in my own bed for 2 days just because it was like uncomfortable, right? But overall, right, it was not bad. Like and my situation was different because they put me to sleep. And everyone else says they give you like a Valium, and then on the way to the office, you take the Valium, and then you go
Oh yeah,
all
back in the old
loop-de-doo.
day, they
You
didn't even
watch 'em
really
do it?
They might give you a shot and like of tequila or something, and you're basically responsible for holding your own stuff up. And
Oh wow. No, it was like the Four Seasons. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
I go in there and I've never had any type of surgery before, so I was really nervous. And the only part of it that I didn't like was the first nurse that tried to give me an IV in my arm, she kept missing, and she was like digging around in there. I had to grab the side of the bed rail. I was like, "Yo, stop! Like, you're not doing good."
Right.
So, other than that, I mean, they wheeled me back. I was getting a little nervous. I saw the nurse at the foot of the bed, like doing some stuff. She turned around. I remember her turning around and saying hi, and I was like, "Hey," and then I woke up.
Yeah, but
That's cool.
I've heard that you said some stuff maybe under anesthetic or maybe not.
I did. It was.
That you probably shouldn't have said to a nurse.
I did. I did say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with your wife standing right there.
I don't care. She don't care.
She don't care.
She don't care. No, it was fun. It was a good time. I actually
And that's
posted
actually
that
on the
video.
internet for
I
you
did.
guys wanting to watch.
I posted.
Check out Gilroy Vlogs.
I posted that on my Facebook page. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Facebook post. But anyway, afterwards, I mean, now, I don't know. I don't know how to say this politically correct, but
It's called ejaculations.
well, I
if that's
mean,
where you're going.
the I don't know, the non-worry of not having to say, "Hey, did you remember to take the pill?" Or
Oh, yeah.
you just go at it and not with no worries in the world.
I don't like that. I don't like going at it. I don't like that verbiage. What I do like to say is we be painting the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Not
mean,
yet, though.
I
Will
hate-
be.
I hate to
'Cause-
say this, but I did the same with your mom, so I probably shouldn't have said that on air. But now that vision will be stuck in your head for a minute.
Oh, boy.
That's okay. It's okay. I mean, nature happens. I mean, that's just all natural. So,
I guess.
what's funny is you sit here and talk about your sex life very openly and use verbiage from off the wall. But first
It's
time
different.
I'm like, I did the same with your mom. You get all
No, it's
blushed
different.
and
No, that's very different.
Flushed
There's a
and-
hierarchy of acceptable speech, and when
I
it,
just crossed it.
when it involves parental sexual activities, it doesn't go uphill, right? You're uphill. I just like if I couldn't talk about that with my kids, he's sitting right over there. But
Yeah, but I think you went beyond the uphill one time because I remember a situation at the house to where you had walked in on your grandparents, and I remember Grandpa had asked you if he could borrow like a video camera and a tripod because
Stop.
yeah, I don't know if you remember that conversation with your
No,
grandpa.
I don't remember that
do
either.
because I remember you just literally crawled under a rock for like a year and you did not want to come out. So I mean, it was pretty bad. I remember like it was yesterday, but I'm like an elephant. I remember a lot of stuff that
perhaps I repressed that for a reason.
you repressed it. Yeah, so I don't know. It is what it is. But here's another topic on moving on. I did
You got
try.
a whole notepad there. That's
Oh
amazing.
man! What's funny is last week when Tim was sick, I think he has monkeypox, COVID, probably a couple STDs. I don't know.
You can't say those things out loud. You have to use code, you know.
I thought that was code, but he literally gave me. I think he texted me like at 1:00 the day of our last podcast, and you know, with me working, I usually don't carry a phone with me. So I did not get the message until probably about 5:30, 6 o'clock. So I'm like, holy cow, by the time I get home, get something to eat, get over there and get set down, I don't know if I have enough content to do a whole podcast, especially by myself if Tim's sick. And
Which is really crazy, by the way. I never in 100 million years would have figured my dad, let alone would be on or a co-host at all of a podcast, right? But on top of that, here you are trying to go solo on a podcast.
Without Tim, yeah. I mean, tonight I had planned on, I didn't know if you would come on or not, so my plan was, I got off a little bit early today, and I made myself almost like a news anchor. What's that one dude? The news anchor.
Yeah, but you didn't build this, did you?
No. You guys should have been here probably. I
got
here at 7:15. And poor Chase, he had his jackhammer out and his sledgehammer's out. And
I don't have a jackhammer. I don't even have a jackhammer.
no, he was in the process of trying to get all the electronics set up. And I mean, that's why we was a few minutes late. You was still putting your soundboard together, wasn't you?
Yeah, the production box was fully disassembled because I was trying to redo the entire production box. But everything else is resituated. We fully built a production box and this fancy wall. Well, that took me all night long.
Hey, not to interrupt, but Darth wants to see your snorkel.
Darth, come on.
Darth, I think we need a magnifying glass, but
hey, stop, bro. That's not cool.
Well, I mean, that's the first thing I seen when I looked down.
What's Darth's name? Is it just Darth?
I can't see it. It's
Dad
too small.
Dad can't see. He's blind.
Even
Darth Nihilus. Darth Nihilus, show me your smeckle. Come on, Darth. You can go to prison for that.
I mean, yeah. I mean
on the internet.
Darth
anyways.
obviously is an adult, and I think it's illegal to look at little boys' stuff.
Yeah.
You're a little
That's
boy,
enough of that.
Yeah.
What?
I think that's 10 years in the slammer. But I don't know. But anyway, maybe you can relate to this next topic that I had.
All right.
It goes with equipment.
Hit me.
Okay, you got all this $1 million worth of equipment, I think, out here.
No, stop. No, I don't. There's only $20 worth of stuff out here.
Okay. But anyway, it's like, how do you react when somebody just comes in and slams your stuff around? I mean,
Do you not want me to cuss or want me to cuss?
try not to cuss.
Because it's like you spend so much money and energy getting the money that it takes to buy those things. This equipment that I use is very expensive.
It's all high end, top of the line stuff. To where, it's not cheap. You don't get this at Best Buy.
It's not like a GoPro.
So when somebody comes in and slams your stuff around,
Yeah, you get mad.
what's funny is in our past episodes, we've had Craig and Grace on here, and Craig made a comment to me one time, and he goes, "We're doing an employee testing." And it took me a second to really reel that in and realize what he was talking about until I realized my position in it, that I buy the stuff. And it's like this past week, Dallas threw one of my zero poles off a 2.5-story roof, and it came tipped down and just snapped it, right?
Oh.
And I looked at him, and it was the only threaded nylon tip that we had. Everything else was wood tips, and I needed a nylon threaded tip. I very seldom ever do gutters, and we was screwing like a push broom to this pole to bring stuff down at. So when he threw that down, I mean, first of all, those poles aren't cheap. And when it snapped it, I'm like, and you could buy, that's what I like about the zero poles, is you could buy different
The tip's
pieces.
replaceable, right?
Yeah, but still, it's the only one that I had with me. And usually I have at least one backup. I have a backup of everything on the van for
You know what you can guarantee is he didn't buy that.
Oh, he didn't buy that.
Yeah, people are more aggressive with tools that they didn't buy.
Well, it's like times that twice. It happened more than twice, but the 2 times that I can recall just off the top of my head is one time he forgot to tie a ladder on the truck, and we're coming down 270, and it blows off the truck. And it did not stay in our lane of traffic. When it hit the pavement, it went sideways, opened up all 4 lanes of traffic.
That's some
was
Final
stopped.
Destination stuff right there.
It was bad. It was bad. And I'm like, and I had yelled at him multiple times prior to this to make for sure that you have that. And, after I yelled at him, I kind of felt a little bit bad because I'm like, I am the owner. I am the driver. It is my responsibility to walk around my rig, make sure everything's secure. But I asked him many times, I'm like, if you're not ready to secure that on the vehicle, just lay it beside the vehicle. But when you put that on the vehicle, do not get distracted until you completely have secured that to the vehicle.
Yeah.
So this same ladder had fallen off the truck, I'd say at least a half a dozen times, to the point to where I was starting to worry about the integrity of the ladder and integrity
Dang.
of the welds.
Half a dozen times? What kind of ladder was that? I'm going to look that up online right now.
It was called a ladder, an extension ladder. I think it was just a Warner ladder, but anyway. Then another time, I just got the dually diesel. It was like a very nice, sexy truck that I really, really, really liked, and he.
Can you say that?
He did not tie that on again, and I went around the corner, and the ladder came off, and it smacked the top of the fender well on a diesel, and it left or on a dually, and it left a dent the size of your fist, and it was a brand new truck, and I looked at him, and I'm like, I can't have anything nice. I mean, you have
just
to.
Can't.
He goes, it's a work truck. And I'm like, Dallas, it's a very expensive work truck. I'm like, I like to have nice equipment. So, I mean, I ended up trading that in not long after. I could have got the dent fixed, but I kind of foreseen the direction of diesel anyway. So I'm like, yeah, it's time to get rid of that and just, diesel's like a whole lot more expensive than gas. So I ended up getting rid of that. But, other things like with company shirts, like brand new shirts, he'll take them home to wash them, come back with no sleeves, cut, crop topped. And I'm like, that was a brand new shirt that I paid like $30 a shirt for just last night. And now he goes, yeah, but it's comfortable and
It's way cooler this way,
it's way cooler. But another thing that he does is, he's really progressed since this. He's really good enough to go out on his own. I keep throwing him down under the bus, but there was this one particular house we was at that had multiple roofs that had like maybe 3 or 4 feet in between the roofs. And I told him when I set him up to do these second story windows, I'm like, do not be making no stupid TikTok video that basically shows you jumping from roof to roof. It's a liability. So he's like, I promise, Daddy. So I went around Friday and I'm working, and sure enough, that night I seen on his news feed where he posted a video of him at that house jumping from roof to roof.
It must have been an old video. It was an old video from like maybe a year ago.
That was posted like 20 minutes ago. Yeah. So needless to say, I'm like, that's a huge liability to the homeowner. That's a huge liability to me. You cannot do this on the
But
job.
think of the views, Dad.
The views was outrageous.
Think about the views for 1 second.
Yeah. Well, okay, I thought about it. I still say it's not worth it. But here's another interesting thing about last week is that we had an emergency house call in. And I'm like, we do not have any room for you whatsoever. And your brother found out about which house it was. And somehow, some way, he can remember which house it was. And in 33 years, I've never had a customer come up and give us free shots while we're doing the windows.
What kind of shots?
I think it was like Jose or something.
Oh, wow.
But I think I sipped on mine and nursed it because I'm not much of a shot person. And I think Dallas had like 8, 9.
We call those sissies, by the way.
And I'm like, yeah, but with your brother, I'm like, yeah, you can't get up on any more ladders. I'm like,
No kidding.
I'm done. I have to do all the laddering from here on out. So.
Man, I can recall being at a house where like the homeowner's wife, or I'm assuming homeowner's wife, made us like cookies or like a sandwich or something. I recall that happening, but never once were there shots in the big like alcohol.
Oh, no,
Let's get drunk, dude. You're the dopest window cleaner ever. Let's get drunk.
That was a Latino maid, but yeah, she was very nice and made us cookies.
Oh.
No, it could have been his wife. I don't know.
I can tell the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we're really close to the end of the show.
Oh, you got nothing else on your notepad?
Oh no, I still have places to go. I just I
I can't see the timer. I'll leave it on you. I'll leave you
It
to it.
is 8:50, so we're getting close to it. I do have a serious question while Tim is out of town. Much like our business, we have different philosophies, which both of them is very successful and works for each of us individually. But we also have different philosophies on maybe the direction of how this podcast is going. So if you do me a favor, drop a comment in the comment box. And if there's a direction or a suggestion that you'd like the show to maybe go, when Tim gets back and gets sobered up, we can kind of take a look at the comments, see what they look like, maybe go with your suggestions and maybe do like a call in, maybe a video, maybe an audio. I don't know. I know Chase has amazing capability to take Skype calls and everything else like that. So maybe we could do something like that. I think why I got on the podcast is because I wanted to share tips of the trade. And I just wanted to hear people's story. I think in episode 1, you heard my story of the fall. And then you heard episode 2, I think, the family. And so you've heard my story along the way. And I'm kind of all about hearing other people's story, how they got into it, what's their best win or lose in the industry. What's, they may have had better days and worse days. And I think that's why we all kind of look for an outlet like this. I know that's why Tim and I talk a lot, is because our families and wives are basically just burn out on us talking about window cleaning, because we live, eat, and breathe window cleaning, and they're just tired of it. So, I mean, our buddies that's not in the industry, they have no idea of what we're talking about when we talk about how cold it is. So, a lot of times Tim and I would just call each other to vent about, oh my God, can you believe we're out and it's 30 below zero wind chill and we're out here doing windows with nothing but windshield washer fluid, and it's just turning to slush, and oh my God. And so that's the kind of stories that I'm maybe wanting to explore with you guys. But drop a comment in the comment box. Let us know which way you want us to go. We may keep it the same, and we may take Chase up on his idea and come up with after hours outlaw window cleaning, which would be definitely interesting. Anyway, until next time, Tim will be back next week for episode 15. I appreciate you guys joining us. I did not have a chance to look at all the comments and everything because I'm just not that coordinated. I'd leave that up to Tim and Chase when they're here. I usually review the comments after the show, and maybe I might make a comment about it on episode 15. But needless to say, thanks again for joining us. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons. If Chase puts up a link to his stuff, don't forget to check that out. Until next week, have a good one. Peace. See ya.